You know, uh, I'm going to tell a little story about a nightmare roommate that I had in college a few years ago. You know, I'm a graduate of Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington, and uh, a few years ago, when I was living in the student village apartments there, which are is basically just a glorified dormitory. I my fall term roommate uh, graduated, and if I knew he was only going to be living in the apartment that I had for one term, I probably wouldn't have accepted him as a roommate. But the so I was desperate for winter term, and uh, the housing people said this person's looking for a roommate, and it was like okay, and uh, he moved in, and you know my roommate this new roommate, you know, he'd leave his dishes in the sink for days at a time, making it impossible for me to do my dishes. He never picked up after himself. He put the times when he actually threw stuff away, he put trash in the recycling cans, and or like he never. If I took the garbage out, if he if he had something to throw away, he'd you know I take the liner out to the dumpster, and he wouldn't replace the liner. He'd just throw stuff in the empty cans, and it was just like if the trash can was overflowing, rather than again take the trash out, he'd put his foot in the can to go make it go down to create more space. You know, my fall term roommate, he kept his uh, utensils in a drawer, and different from the one that I kept mine in. And when I told my winter term roommate that there was a place for his utensils, he thought that I meant for us to be sharing a drawer, and he never once figured out that that was really really unsanitary. And because he dumped his utensils in the drawer I was using, and it got to the point where I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I kept my uh, utensils in my room, in my bedroom. And then to top it off, he you know he was one of those people that thought if you flush the toilet only with urine in it, that you're wasting water. And the I could understand not doing that if the utilities were if we were paying for utilities and stuff, but the utilities were taken out of our rent or were included in the rent, and so it was just like use it. And again, he didn't seem to get that the toilet didn't have a magical force field that if you don't flush the toilet with urine in it, and you leave the urine sitting there overnight, and you leave the door to the bathroom wide open, you're gonna make the entire apartment smell really really bad. And you know and I would go to the gym all the time at Central practically every day, and he made our bathroom so gross that I was actually bathing at the gym. It's like, what does it say about him that I would rather bathe in a locker room, than bathe in the same in the same bathroom that he was using. And you know he he actually we got into an argument about something, and then he sent me an email like a week after the argument saying like how depressed he was, and all this stuff, basically making it seem like he was going to physically harm himself if I ever yelled at him again. And, you know, if my previous roommate, I could watch TV till like 2 in the morning out there, out in the living room at a reasonable volume. But with this roommate, it's like the second he went to bed, I was confined to quarters. I couldn't leave my room because it'd wake him up. He'd come out and say, "Could you be quiet? I'm trying to sleep." And it was, even though if I was like tiptoeing around, I mean, I think he probably would have got bothered by me watching the TV with on mute with closed captions or something. And you know, with the demands he made, he actually asked me to sleep with my bedroom door open a crack because it would wake him up in the middle of the night, or it made noise in his room. And it was like, what, I slept in all the time, and I skipped class all the time, so it's like, what about when you wake up and you're out there making noise? It kind of works both ways. I mean, I figured a way out to make the uh, noise factor fewer, but it was such a damn nightmare that, when my parents were talking about coming to visit that term, I banned them from coming to the school that day, or the school that term. And he, there was something about him that was just really, really gross. I kept wanting to tell him, dude, healthy people don't smell like you, because it was like a huge force field of stench around him, and it was just like, whoa, it was just really, really gross. And that is my experience with a nightmare roommate. I can sound funnier if I'm being more blunt about it, but I can't really sound funnier if you don't already have a general idea of my background when it comes to that.